Hello and welcome back to Cannabis Patient Reviews. My name is Alex Fraser. On today's video I wanted to start a whole new series of videos on the channel. The working title is The Dummy's Guide to Medical Cannabis, but I think it's just a basic guide for people in the UK on medical cannabis and how that works. So the first video, I think it's very important that we do one on the endocannabinoid system. Understanding medical cannabis, you have to understand the endocannabinoid system to understand how medical cannabis works and why cannabis is so effective for so many different conditions, symptoms and ailments. So, it's a system in your body. The endocannabinoid system, much like the digestive system or the respiratory system or the cardiovascular system, it's just a system within your body that helps regulate and keep you healthy. So it's a bunch of receptors, mostly in your brain, some in your gut, but also throughout your nervous system as well. And they help you control and regulate the central nervous system, so that's pain regulation, and also the immune system as well. So that explains why it's effective for so many different illnesses and diseases. First off, it's helping reduce and mitigate pain. It's helping control pain signaling throughout the body. So this can be very effective for helping treat the pain symptoms of MS and other things like Parkinson's and arthritis as well. It's also a powerful anti-inflammatory. What it's doing is it's actually suppressing the immune system when it's overactive. So that's again why it's so effective for so many different immune diseases. So you have a Crohn's disease like I have, which is the inflammation of the bowel. It's an overactive immune system. It's attacking the bowel. And what cannabis actually does, I think it's mostly CBD, actually what it does is it calms down the immune system and helps it work at a more regular rate, helping promote homeostasis in the body as well. Now, homeostasis, if you're not aware, is sort of the general status of sort of good health, optimum health in the body, and our body is constantly trying to maintain that. When things like diseases or viruses come into the body, they pull the body away from that homeostasis, and the body's trying to constantly bring it back. And the immune system's a big part of that. And having a fully functioning immune system is incredibly important, and cannabis is a big part of how that works for patients who are consuming it. So we have an endocannabinoid system. The endo part means endogenous, that means within us, and cannabinoid obviously means cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are the chemicals that are found in cannabis, and endogenous cannabinoids, endocannabinoids, are found and produced within our own body. We actually produce cannabinoids. We produce them in breast milk. We produce them when we have sex. We produce them when we sleep. We produce them when we're in pain in order to mitigate those things. Dopamine is it's actually anandamide, which releases dopamine, but anandamide is analogous to THC. And anandamide is the body's pleasure chemical. So we produce anandamide endogenously. It attaches to the exact same receptors as THC does, and that makes us feel good, which is exactly why THC makes us feel good. THC is doing exactly the same job as anandamide does in the body. So when people talk about the high that you get from cannabis, what they're actually describing is the chemical in the plant connecting to the receptors in our body and replicating the effects of what anandamide does endogenously within us. You hear a lot of people talk about runner's high when you go for running. That releases large amounts of anandamide in our system, and that so people compare a runner's high to the high that you get from cannabis as being very, very similar. It's because they're doing almost exactly the same thing in your body for different reasons. So a lot of people with various different immune deficiencies, there's a sort of general belief that you either don't have enough cannabinoids indigenously, or that you have an overactive immune system and therefore you need more cannabinoids in your body in order to mitigate those symptoms. So we have THC and CBD and other cannabinoids, and they're combining to receptors. My understanding is that CBD doesn't directly combine to receptors, but it helps other cannabinoids bind to receptors, and it also controls the uptake of cannabinoids into our body. So this can also explain why it's so good at mitigating the effects of THC. What CBD actually is doing there is controlling the amount of THC that goes into our body, so that it's slowing down the uptake of THC. So if you've had too much THC and you're feeling anxious, when you have that CBD to counteract that anxiety, what it's doing is it's slowing down the THC coming into your body and calming you down in the process. THC actually stimulates it stimulates your neurons firing in your brain, so it can help improve memory and things like Alzheimer's. So it's reconnecting some of those lost connections and those memories that have been disconnected. But what that also means is if you have too much THC, it can overfire in your brain, and that's where we get those more anxious and paranoid thoughts from. It's our brains, we're overthinking. And CBD calms down, slows down the uptake of THC and enables to calm down that thinking, that overthinking again. So yeah, that is the basic understanding of the endocannabinoid system. It has many, many different uses that I'm sure most of which we have yet to still discover. It seems to be incredibly important in the treatment of cancers and, like we said, the treatment of immune disorders as well. And it's also essential to the controlling of pain around the body and particularly those pain signals. Again, we're talking about THC promoting pain signals, but it can also dampen pain signals. It promotes neurons in your brain signaling, but it doesn't promote pain signals. It dampens pain signaling, reducing pain in chronic pain patients. So there are lots of different reasons why cannabis is so effective, but they all surround the endocannabinoid system, and they're all linked to the endocannabinoid system and how that works in our body. And it is absolutely essential that doctors, as well as the legislators that are putting the new legislations in place for medical cannabis in the UK, understand these basic principles of how cannabis works, so that they can so the doctors can better prescribe more than anything else. Doctors need to understand exactly how this works so that they can understand which cannabinoid ratios to be prescribing, which different methods of consumption are going to help different patients, and why that is as well. And of course, as we start to research more and more cannabinoid medicines, we're going to be discovering more and more cannabinoids. We already know about CBG, which is like the mother cannabinoid. So the plant cannabis actually produces a lot of CBG, G for golf, if you want, not D for Dennis or whatever, Delta, I should say. CBG, yeah, is incredibly effective for a lot of things, because what it actually does do is it breaks down into THC and CBD later on in your body. So there's a lot of promise for different cannabinoids that we are still sort of discovering. And the main reason that we're still discovering now is because there are only very, very small amounts of these cannabinoids in the plant. CBN is another one. CBN, we believe, is linked to helping people sleep and that more sedative effect of cannabis. So for people with insomnia, PTSD, and other things like that, it's going to be really helpful for helping them drop off and get a good night's sleep, which we know is so important to keeping optimum health. So yeah, there are lots of different things that we're discovering. There are lots more cannabinoids being discovered. I've only touched on a few of the others there that I think are definitely well worth researching if you haven't done that bit of research already. CBG and CBN are definitely some of the more interesting ones that I've been sort of researching myself, and I'll be doing a few videos on them and their effects as well, I'm sure, in the few coming weeks and months. So that's the first one of these, little tutorial on the endocannabinoid system. Do share it around, make sure everyone understands this. It really is very imperative that we do understand the mechanisms of medical cannabis and how it works in the body, so that we can better treat ourselves, and so the doctors can be better informed, and we can all be better informed about better health through cannabis medications. So yeah, hopefully lots more videos. Definitely lots more videos on the cannabis and how it works very, very soon. If you have any recommendations or anything you'd specifically like me to cover, do let me know. Post your requests in the comments as always, and as always, please share this around, show your friends, show your family, and as always, click subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on any of the videos coming up. I've been Alex for Cannabis Patient Reviews. Thanks, and I'll see you all very soon.